It's time to gather around the radio for another episode of Comic.Church, hosted by Pastor Drew, the Fairy Godbro, the Reverend Sith Lord himself, Jesse Stay, and the Monsignor of Marvel, Sean Ray. Broadcasting live from the K-Talk Studios, KBJA 1640 AM, and streaming live with video on Facebook. And now, Comic.Church.
Welcome. Happy Sunday morning, everyone.
Good morning.
Good morning. Did anyone check their clocks and everything like that today?
Yes, it is officially 11:07. If your clock says 10, you're wrong.
Yeah, that's the problem. I've been going around my house this morning, and like half my clocks are the right time, half of them aren't, and it's determining which ones are the right ones.
Yeah.
It's like living in a different reality every place I go in my house.
Oh,
That is the nice thing with the phones automatically doing it and everything like that, because I even still got in my car this morning, and I was like, oh, wait, I'm way early. So then it took me a second to
I think I need to just set all my clocks back an hour, and then I'll start arriving on time here.
Yeah.
I'm always on time for the show. You guys on who are listening never notice, but I like show up like
30 seconds before we turn the camera on.
Jesse's standard time.
Excuse
right
me,
on time.
Excuse me, my adrenaline is still diluting itself through my body, thinking we might have to just make this a two-person show today.
I'm the one in the room that's not in the military, and
Yeah, because if you're 10 minutes early, you're still late.
that's right.
In the military.
But no,
I'll get it right here one of these days. You guys can start making me do push-ups here.
Of all Sundays, though, this is the one that you can be late. I don't know if you saw our Facebook post, but we posted daylight savings time is a bad idea. Don't mess with time unless you're professional. And then we posted, have you survived the time distortions caused by this morning's amateur time travel nonsense we called daylight savings?
That's right.
So,
It's ridiculous.
it's amateur time travel, and it hurts a lot of people. Like, literally, the death toll climbs. Like, more people have heart attacks.
Wow.
Within this next week period of time, because just it screws up their circadian sleeping patterns.
Yeah.
Did anyone schedule an extra hour of sleep last night?
I lost like several. I just couldn't get to sleep.
I had friends over, and then when I saw that it was like 11:30, I realized to myself, like, that's really 10:30 my time, or 12:30. It's like, hey, good night, everyone. I'm gonna go to bed. You continue having fun. And
Yeah, I went to bed like, what would have been 3 a.m. 4 a.m.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I went to a movie last night with a bunch of buddies and everything like that, and then, got out. And, you go to the late movies, and you get out, and it's like 12:30, but it's really 1:30.
Yeah.
You're like, oh, crap, that was a long movie. But
What movie did you see?
I went and saw, it was called The Kid.
The Kid.
With Chris Pratt is in it, plays good. It's misconception. I thought it was about Billy the Kid. It was a Western.
Okay.
But it's a movie with Billy the Kid in it. It's not even really about Billy the Kid. It's about a little kid that some events happen and stuff like that, and he and his sister take off, and they run into Billy the Kid, and then it kind of goes off with that and stuff. And we were thinking it was about Billy the Kid the whole time, but no, it's about this kid.
Billy.
It was they just called him Kid. Well, his name was Rio, but it was about this kid and his story about how he ran off, killed his dad because his dad was beating his mom, and ran into Billy the Kid, and it was a decent movie. It wasn't the best. I always hate going into those movies thinking, oh, it's about this, and then like totally something else happens, and you're like, oh, I was
Not what I was expecting.
no, not at all. But no, I went out with a bunch of guys. So a lot of things that I do, I work with a group, nonprofit organization called Recovery Soldiers. We do a lot of nonprofit in the area, do a lot of donations
awesome.
and stuff for the homeless in the area and stuff like that. Like last weekend, we made tamales. For every dozen that we sold, we made an extra dozen and handed them out to the homeless downtown and everything like that.
Wow.
So we do a lot of those.
That's
and stuff.
cool.
If you ever wanted to look at it, it's Recovery Soldiers. It's on Facebook.
We should go do a show from there sometime.
Yeah, I mean,
with
that'd
you
be
guys.
kind of good. I mean, there's a lot of sometimes when I go down there, they always, the homeless always ask, "Who are you guys? What are you doing?" and stuff like that. And a lot of times they see my shirts and stuff, and Star Wars or Marvel or anything, and it's fun to find a lot of these guys down there and talk total geek with these homeless people. Oh, I remember growing up, I read these comic books and stuff like that. And there's,
you know what we should do? We should organize a drive where we get people to donate old comic books and we just give them out to the homeless.
Oh,
I wonder
awesome.
If they would love those. I bet you they would.
That would be
That's
awesome.
Something no one ever thinks of.
No, that's a great idea. There's a local comic shop that I love here in town, and when I was deployed, I still, would have him send me some comic books and stuff like that. And then the awesome thing is I'd buy, my 100 or so comics, and he would send an additional box just of, a bunch of extras. And he's like, here, hand these out to, your buddies and stuff like that. And so, as I was traveling around over there and stuff, I would always leave like a grip of comics here at this base and this base and stuff like that. It was kind of cool.
Yeah, because everyone's got a bunch of old comics that they're not doing anything with, and some of them may not have value to them or whatever. Maybe some of them do, and it could change someone's life. But
that's the thing is, like, I have boxes of comic books and stuff like that because as I grew up and bought them and stuff like that, I don't want to just toss them in the garbage. And so I'd always just keep on to them and stuff like that. But I know a lot of guys that once they read them, they're like, I don't know what to do with them anymore.
Wow. I think we're onto something here.
Well, and also now that most of those comics have been digitized. So, it's the same thing with like CDs. You used to have all your CDs and tapes, and now you still have them, but you never use them because they've all been
That's
he pulls a comic out of his bag.
I did. I pulled some of these. I brought some of these.
Good old Sean.
To show you because we were gonna kind of do a little bit on Captain Marvel and stuff like that today.
So if you're listening on the radio, you can follow us on Facebook. If you look up Comic.Church, it's facebook.com/Comic.Church, I believe.
That is correct.
And we stream you can see us, all of our, you see Sean's cool outfits, and I've got socks on that you can't see right now. That
Captain Marvel outfit today, my tank top.
And then we also get this on YouTube as well. You could follow us or subscribe to us on YouTube, Comic.Church.
Excellent.
We're right now not dual live streaming just because we haven't completely figured it out.
I figured out how to do it,
but
so we'll do it next
But you
week,
showed up 30
maybe.
seconds before we went live, so we couldn't do that.
Next time we'll plan it better.
No, the great thing with these comic books is
my fault.
I can't remember when they started doing this. Maybe like 5 years ago. For every comic book, you can digitally download, and there's the code on the comic book. So
nice.
I know a lot of guys that they'll buy the actual, because I'm an old school. I like to collect. I like to actually have the book in hand when I read. So
I'm gonna say with DVDs now.
I still love the DVDs because I love the extras and everything like that. And it's cool to have a whole wall of DVDs. But
I've got something on that later. I'll tell you in a second. Keep going.
But so with these, I know a lot of guys that you can buy them and then you can digitally download them. They do that, even with the DVDs now. You can digitally. I just send the codes to my sister. But so if you guys wanted to do that, you could buy your book still digitally download, and it's the same price. And then we can make a stack of these, and we can go and hand these out when I go do stuff with the homeless and stuff like that. Because
that's awesome.
You're paying for the book, for the download and everything like that. And so a lot of people are like, I don't know what to do with the comics anymore and stuff. So that's a great idea, Jesse. That's
I think we're on something there.
So
Go ahead. I was going to take us just a little bit off topic from Captain Marvel just for a second, because this last week Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse came out on iTunes, and we watched it, me and my kids. It has a alternate universe mode to it that you can watch it, and they pull in all the sketches and storyboards and everything that didn't quite make the full cut, and they never entirely finish, and they take into it's like watching an entirely new reality that they pull in here and there because you're seeing the black and white sketches here and there, but they're telling an additional story on top of everything else that they weren't able to get into the movie. It's really cool. That is cool. And it's just more Spideyverse. It's really cool.
See, and that's the kind of stuff I love to watch, with having the DVDs and watching the extras. I love listening to like the commentaries and stuff like that, because there's so much more that you can get out of the commentaries. But yeah, that's pretty cool.
So I was gonna before we head off to break, we talk a lot on the show about the hero with 1,000 faces, modern day heroes, just a normal everyday citizen that steps up above and beyond, and we lost one of those this last week. Have you guys heard of Freddie Overstegen? Is that how you say her name? Overstegen. So she was a Dutch resistance fighter in World War II.
Oh, wow.
And she and her sisters would seduce Nazi soldiers and then lure them to go out into the woods, and then she'd shoot them.
Oh.
Wow.
And
I like her.
And yeah, so she died. She was 92.
Sort of.
Oh no!
No, I do like her.
She was heralded as a full-blown resistance fighter.
No kidding.
And I mean, talk about that's some like Peggy Carter type.
It's Peggy Carter. Or like, it reminds me of like the mythical the sirens.
Yeah.
That sing to the sailors and everything like that, and entices the sailors. And once the sailors get into the water, they're gone. They're dead. That is kind of cool.
But yeah, she and her sisters. They would ride their bicycles down the street in New Holland with firearms hidden in the basket, and Nazi officials rarely stopped and questioned them, but they would flirt with them and try to say, "Hey, want to go do show and tell in the woods?" And she'd get them out there. Her own little
basic instinct, right there.
And then once she got them out into the woods, she'd go to her little basket and bang.
Wow,
like that. That's some heroic some.
It's cool. It's cool hearing stories and stuff like that. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if that could be made into a movie. I mean, there's so many.
That's a total movie right
like
there.
That. Like Inglourious Bastards type thing and stuff like that.
So which female actress would be good for that role? What do you think?
What actor? Oh man. I could see Scarlett Johansson, a little Black Widow type thing going on there.
Yeah, Scarlett Johansson has got to be. I think
I can see it. Cause just
the right amount, a little bit of crazy. I don't know.
Yeah, talking of. I mean, after watching,
I could see Angelina Jolie maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think.
And have Quentin Tarantino direct it. Like,
it'd have to be.
That would be an epic movie.
Like Inglourious Bastards.
Who's just enough crazy? That's the question that would be like perfect for it.
What, Tim Burton?
Yeah.
Helen Bonham Carter could play the.
Oh yeah.
If Tim Burton did it, yeah.
She's in all of his movies, man.
Oh well, they were married for a while.
Oh,
I think they got divorced.
That makes sense.
I don't know. If in the comments section,
it needs to be a Quentin Tarantino film, though.
Yeah.
Oh, it has to. It has to be.
Definitely. So we are going to be talking pretty much the remainder of this show on Captain Marvel.
Oh, yeah.
We had the opportunity to get a press screening earlier this week. We wrote a review for it that's posted up on Comic.Church, our website, Comic.Church or Comic.Church.org, whichever you prefer. But yeah, we're going to be breaking down this movie. There's going to be some spoilers. We're going to try to not ruin everything for you, but we are going to be talking about the movie. So stay tuned for Captain Marvel. We're going to break it down and talk about this groundbreaking movie that not only broke the glass ceiling, triggered all the fanboys, but is breaking box office records.
Put on your underoos.
So
I wish.
We're going to get there. So we'll be talking about this on the backside of this commercial break. We'll be right back.
Awesome.
When the fake news stations are slick as ice this winter, cut through with K-Talk Media, your favorite local talk station.
When a challenge rises up, do we let it stand in our way or go the distance to overcome it? I didn't want to stay at the bottom, but after I was shot in Afghanistan, I was told I'd never walk again, if I even survived. My wife and healthcare providers were there to help me climb my hill. I learned that psychological care is key to recovery from both physical and invisible wounds. Decide now that I will take the first step. Visit realwarriors.net or call 800-874-2273.
The weekend is coming, and you need to plan a date night. You could go to a movie and dinner, but there's nothing original about that. Here's a new and exciting idea. Take your date indoor shooting at the Armory Gun Range. Instead of renting a bowling lane or playing miniature golf, yay, you can rent a shooting lane at the Armory Gun Range. Impress your spouse or your date with your original plan. The Armory can provide both guns and ammo, and rookies are welcome.
I would be excited if my boyfriend took me shooting. The Armory is located in Sandy at 9210 South and 248 West. The phone number is 801-447-1789. Again, that is 801-447-1789. You can also check out their website at armoryshootingrange.com. The range is open from 10 a.m. to 8 p.m. Monday through Saturday.
The Armory Gun Range, blowing holes in boring date nights.
Hi, I'm Gary Sinise. Our veterans put everything on the line to protect our freedom. We may never be able to repay them for their sacrifice, but we can show them just how much we appreciate all they've done. Please visit www.volunteer.va.gov.
AARP is the nation's largest nonprofit, nonpartisan organization dedicated to empowering Americans 50 and older to choose how they live as they age. No limits, no labels. Aging is changing. Visit aarp.org/UT for more information. Make the most of each day with AARP.
The Kubota L2501 tractor is one of the best-selling compact tractors in America for a reason. They're comfortable, spacious, easy to control, and have a range of performance-matched implements to tackle all kinds of jobs. Right now, get a Kubota L2501 with a 6-year warranty, plus 0% APR financing for up to 60 months, or great customer instant rebates. Now through December 31st, 2018. See us or go to KubotaUSA.com for more information.
Find a Kubota dealer near you at GoKubota.com.
Welcome back, comic fans. We now return to Comic.Church, leaving you right where we left off before the break. And now here's your host, Pastor Drew the Fairy Godbrother, the Monsignor of Marvel, Sean Ray, and the Reverend Sith Lord himself, Jesse Stay.
Welcome back.
Welcome. Yeah, you talked about putting our underoos on. And that's the thing. I think
that's almost a 90s reference. Where it's a little more 80s, but
I loved those, man.
Well, late 80s, early 90s.
Yeah.
And
we didn't see those in the movie. That would have been a great merchandise. They could bring those back.
Well, I was thinking because did you guys see the thing with Brie Larson where she actually went to a theater? And she was handing out popcorn to people, and she went in before.
A bunch of military women. That screening, or is that the one you're?
There's a different one. Oh, because like my little sister, her husband, they're currently still in the military. Yeah. They're stationed up in Washington, and they went to a screening. I think on Wednesday night, and beforehand, my sister, may or may not have recorded just the little clip of Brie Larson thanking the troops and saying how that they couldn't have done this movie, and without them, the Air Force, there was a lot of people that helped her kind of, because that's one of my biggest things is watching movies that have military references and stuff like that and picking it apart. But she had said that Air Force people were on set helping her to do everything and just thanking the troops and stuff. But she was there at one of another.
By the way, getting on that detail, so it's with the Public Affairs Bureau.
Yeah,
that's
what you did
with the military. Being able to get on a detail where you're a military specialist and subject matter expert on the movie is that is the primo gig you can get.
I would have tried to stay and try to kick away my medical discharge if I could have gotten onto it. Just put me on a gig like this and I'll be done.
If only just to make them wear their uniform right. That's my biggest pet peeve.
Oh,
like seeing them in the ACUs within the collars velcroed up. It's like
that was my biggest pet peeve in Boy Scouts. So
yeah, I mean just the uniform and stuff, or a lot of times when they salute. And how there's times where I see people with a crooked hand and a thumb down, and I'm like, oh no.
Or you see someone with military insignia and enlisted insignia on the same. It's like, how did you pull that one off?
The thing is with Brie Larson being this character, and she instills this character. Like that's the thing I love with Marvel. I mean, you look at Robert Downey Jr. and he is on and off screen Tony Stark.
Well, so let's talk about Brie. Before this movie even came out, so let's not even get to the movie yet. So before the movie came out, she was doing a press tour, which you always do when you're promoting a movie. And she just happened to mention, again, as if in the character of Carol Danvers, just recognizing, hey, there's a lot of white males here. I wonder, and then put forth the question, which we like in this here, what could be possible if there was more diversity? And, of course, all the fanboys lost their collective minds. It was insane, so much so. So they started bombing Rotten Tomatoes, tanking the review score before the movie even came out. So much so, Rotten Tomatoes had to change their policy on how movies were reviewed. So
which, by the way, has a 73% Rotten Tomatoes score right now for the movie.
It does, but it's amazing, as if it was almost part of the whole publicity of this film, because if and we'll get into it a little bit more, but you'll see through the flashback, Carol Danvers, all she did was put up with fanboys, other pilots. You know why they call it a cockpit.
Exactly.
And you know what? I know those types. I know those types. I served with them, and so it's amazing. Even in the movie media review fanboy stuff, it's the same enemy that Carol Danvers overcomes. And it's like, I have nothing to prove to you. And again, we'll get into that a little bit more later on today. So
even the thing with like her and her friend Maria, when they can't run missions, they can't run these missions because they're females. So
because up until that point, this was 1995, women could not fly in combat.
This was 1980s when they were flying for and that's kind of in the movie, but and so they wanted to do something. They felt that they were not living up to their potential, so that's when they got into like test piloting for some of these other things and stuff like that. But
I mean, it was only up until the 21st century that women were able to fly in combat.
Yeah. Oh, I mean,
I always wanted to be a pilot. This is just
that's like
I'm
one of
so,
the things that
I almost joined the Air Force to be a pilot because my grandpa was a pilot.
Yeah,
and, he was a Air Force hero. He's featured in the book Unbroken.
Oh, really? Really? That's a great book. By the way,
he contributed quite a bit of the content for that. In fact, he was in the rescue squad for Louis Zamperini, and they're good friends to the end of his life.
The book is by far better than the movie. But yeah, I mean, that's the thing is a lot of people don't understand is like Carol Danvers, when they created when Stan Lee created Carol Danvers, he created her because there were no really strong female characters in the Marvel at the time. And like I've said, for the first 10 years, she wasn't Captain Marvel, she wasn't Miss Marvel, she wasn't anything. She was just Carol Danvers, a colonel in the Air Force, and a NASA security specialist and everything, because they wanted her to portray as that strong feminine character, and that's what her whole idea was and everything is to there's not any females strong characters, and so as Carol Danvers, she promoted up and everything, and she became this strong female person, and that was one of the biggest things. And so when this happened with this whole press screening thing, I'm like, that is a Carol Danvers move.
Yeah.
I mean, totally. And the thing is...
And then the people responded as if they were right out of Central Casting, too.
And the people responded to a comment. They're not looking at the whole entire event or what happened. Because when you read the entire thing, it's not really out of context. I mean, what she says before, what she says after... it's not. These guys are blowing this out of proportion.
And after she said that, just mentioning it's a lot of white guys here. Where's the diversity?
Yeah.
All of a sudden that translated to Brie Larson hates all white men. She wants them gone. Blah blah blah. And we're gonna go see that other James Cameron movie instead. We're gonna show her. It's like.
Which, by the way, if you're a woman and you're listening or watching right now, comment. Let us know. We want your voice too.
But these people make I love fandom. I love geekdom. But this toxic element, and we've talked about it on the show a lot. This toxic element, the fanboy element, seriously makes it takes the joy out of this whole entire thing. It's like
it's ruining the whole persona of a geek and what a geek is and everything like that.
And it's not just Marvel. It's Star Wars.
They're already doing that with
it's
Star Wars, and they're already doing it with Ghostbusters.
They did it to Star Trek. I mean, CBS All Access. That's a whole different story. But this fanboy toxic element permeates all realms of fandom, like Doctor Who. There's another example. It's like,
and she's doing an amazing. It's like I'm not a huge fan of Doctor Who. I've seen a couple of the older episodes. But I just wanted to see what the whole thing was, so I went and watched the first couple episodes, and I'm like, this is actually okay, as opposed to some of the ones that I've seen in the past.
And granted, there are a few things. You could tell, one, it's a whole new writing team, so this season. So, yes, it's Doctor Who, but you got a new team, so give them a little bit to get into that.
The rhythm.
The rhythm. I mean,
you got to oil up before you can kind of
think of it as a first season. Look at any first season show. I mean, we almost pretend first season of Star Trek: The Next Generation doesn't exist.
Yeah, exactly.
So there are criticisms of the writing and the style change as well. But it was great episodes, great performance by the cast. Like,
people were doing this with Wonder Woman.
Yeah.
And they were totally blowing it up and everything like that. Oh, female, it's just going to bomb and everything. And then once the movie came out, they shut up.
Yeah.
Because the movie was amazing. And they didn't have as much to go off of. And then the box office, the money came in, and they were just like, yeah, I'm just going to go back to my mom's basement.
Yeah.
But the thing is, they're already doing this with Star Wars. Star Wars doesn't even have a title name yet. And they're already going on there and reviewing and bombing this and everything like that, just because,
it's so
female characters or the diversity and stuff like that. And that's the thing is that just blows me away, especially with Star Wars.
Yeah,
they're fine with a blue Twi'lek, character, but you put an Asian in there and they're like, oh my gosh,
social justice warriors trying to shove it down our throat.
They're freaking in space in a galaxy far, far away. I mean, they're not all going to be white male, and that's the biggest thing right now with so many issues is they want to have someone on screen that's like
this isn't a conspiracy to have women have a greater role than men here.
Yeah.
This is simply making it a more equal view where in real life to real life. In real life, they're equal men and women, and that's just not the case in a lot of these.
But here's the claim, though, with a lot of these people, and we see this in politics too. There's a toxic element within. I don't want to
persona. I don't know.
I hate making this about race things, but it comes down along some racial lines where there's a small element of white nationalism, the incel, Proud Boy, fanboy. Like I think if we're to do a Venn diagram of who those people are, there would be a lot of intersecting circles.
Oh yeah, and it's all the same type.
Well, and so they're like, their favorite thing is they love attacking social justice warriors as if that's a bad thing, fighting for social, all you SJWs shoving your thing down we just want to see a movie. Well, first of all, comic books, sci-fi, all of these elements from their very beginning have had elements of social justice. The very fact of filmmaking is you're supposed to tell a parable. and the goal of the director is to have the audience changed by the time they leave.
Yeah.
So with Star Trek, we had the first interracial kiss, and a black woman as a reoccurring character, on a command, on the command of a team of a ship. Doctor Who. They were able to tell these metaphors and parables, with the Daleks. Okay, well, the Daleks represent the Nazis. If you've ever tried to compare, there's so many different things. So for the very beginning, the founding of comic books, sci-fi has been able to promote a social, progressive,
and it's beautiful
mindset.
That's the thing is I just want to mention real quick. It even started on Mr. Rogers.
Yeah,
he cast a black mailman, and that was huge at that time.
Who happened to also be gay, by the way.
Yeah, and that was huge at that time because they didn't want black people in the white people's neighborhoods and stuff like that. And Mr. Rogers was like, he's a human, And the thing is, the big controversy was when Mr. Rogers invited him in to put his feet in the pool with him, and washed his feet. And that was huge. And that goes into Kevin Feige right now he's wanting, when he was setting up the whole phase, the whole MCU, when he had the whole storyboard on the board, the biggest movie that he was so excited to make was Black Panther. Because he wants that diversity. He wants that. I mean, you and I were talking about this a little bit earlier, how he was so excited about doing this, and he's looking at other things. He was looking for an option to get in a female character in there because he wants to diversify. He wants to have all these other people, these options that where people can look on screen and say, "That's me." Finally, something on screen that I can relate to. That I can,
Well, and with that being related, I think it's important because we're also coming up on break here. But with the how do we fix it? There's this toxic element, this fanboy element, this racist element in many cases, and I think for a lot of them, it's a zero-sum game. It's if they win, we have to lose. They're trying to eradicate it, and that's an irrational mindset. It's not based in reality. So one, recognize that, and two, having a gay character, having a lesbian character, having a black character, having an Asian character, it's not a zero sum. Yeah. And so stop treating it as such,
So there's something that in the future here in Phase 4, there's possibilities that we're going to have some LGBT characters that are going to be coming and having big pivotal roles on screen and stuff. And so I'm curious to see what people are going to freak out about. There's also some other characters.
They'll find something.
I mean, when Peter Parker in Spider-Man, Miles Morales, when they created that, and that hasn't been that long ago, maybe 10 years, I want to say ago, when Miles Morales was created. And the thing is, people were losing their minds. That is not my Spider-Man. This is garbage. I'm not going to read this Spider-Man anymore. And
Spider-Man's dead to us.
And the thing is, now that this movie is out with the Spider-Verse, people are saying it's their favorite Spider-Man. I mean, there's little kids that are saying, I want to be Miles Morales. They love it, and it's such a huge thing. And at the time, people were throwing a fit about it. And the thing is, there's actually been some casting rumors. I mean, with DC and everything, with Superman, Michael B. Jordan, people are pushing that they want him to be cast as Superman, and people are going to lose their minds if a black man is cast as Superman. I'm like, go for it. Let's see. Show me what you got.
Get some popcorn. Let's go.
I will watch the movie. I don't care. I'm here for entertainment. Entertain me.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so I just want to say shout out to Manuel Llaneras. He's been a consistent listener and watcher. He's a friend of mine on Facebook as well. So just wanted to give a shout out there.
Thanks for listening
on Facebook
and watching.
Go to our YouTube.
He's in Spain, by the way. I believe.
That is awesome.
Correct me if I'm wrong, Manuel.
Yes, yeah, we're an international show now.
You can always go to YouTube. Go to YouTube. Like us, subscribe us, please. Let's
What's
get
the
our
YouTube,
listing.
URL?
It's Comic.Church.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
Just
we're also on
Comic.Church.
Instagram now, too. Instagram.com/comic.church.
Comic.Church. So the music is that's a break time right here.
Yeah, and
He's losing it. He's got a bug.
You're listening to Comic Church. We'll talk more about Captain Marvel. We promise on this after the break, and I'm choking. I'm dying. You guys take it. Hey there, comic book fans and believers in all things geekdom. This is Pastor Drew, the Fairy Godbro, and I just want to let you know that all of us here at Comic Church are working hard to build a place that we can all come to, a place of refuge, a place to be edified by the universes that inspire us the most. And this show, it's just the launching off point. We invite you to subscribe to our podcast, Church, using your favorite podcasting service. We're on iTunes, Google Play, Spotify, TuneIn, and more. Also, please like our Facebook page, Church on K-Talk. On our page, you'll have a chance to interact with us live each Sunday. Plus, you'll have a chance to hear from us as we post our thoughts, inspirational somethings, and whatnots all throughout the week. We have so much in store for 2019 and into the future, and we invite you to come along and be a part of it. We at Comic Church know exactly how important fans are, and we thank you for taking a chance and being our fans.
Military life is rewarding, but it isn't always easy.
Managing the stress can affect even the strongest warrior.
But I will stay mission ready.
I will keep my mind and body fit.
Talk to my chaplain.
Seek care early. Strive for progress, not perfection.
I got this.
I got this.
Take the first step.
There's no better time than now.
Reaching out is a sign of strength. Visit realwarriors.net or call 800-874-2273.
You're listening to the all-new K-Talk Media, KBJA 1640 AM, Sandy, Salt Lake, and the entire Wasatch Front, bringing you live, local, two-way talk.
The essence of sales is transferring enthusiasm to the customer. K-Talk Media is looking for people who have an unabashed enthusiasm for live local radio and who would love to share the message of our station with businesses who would like to tap into our large, loyal audience. Do you want a fun, energetic, and rewarding position with a company that makes a difference? Then join our team and feel the love. Full, part-time, or anytime positions available with great compensation. Call us today, 801-253-4883, 801-253-4883, or go to ktalkmedia.com and shoot us a message.
Stay away from religious topics, not here on K-Talk. Listen each Sunday evening at 7 p.m. to The Interpreter Show for fascinating religious discussions, hot debates, and the latest in religious scholarship, archaeology, and ancient documents. Whether you're Catholic, Mormon, Protestant, agnostic, and atheist, or something else, you'll want to listen to The Interpreter Show Sunday evenings at 7 p.m. here on K-Talk. You gotta hear it.
I am a veteran. I spent 2 years alone and homeless.
As America's veterans face challenges, DAV is there.
My victory was finding the support to get back on my feet.
DAV helps veterans of every generation get the benefits they've earned.
I'm a veteran. When I got out, I felt like nowhere was safe.
So veterans can reach victories, great and small.
My victory was finding the help I needed. Thanks to DAV, now I feel like I'm human again.
Support more victories for veterans. Go to DAV.org.
When it's cold outside, warm up with the hottest live local two-way talk. K-Talk Media, 1640 AM.
Welcome back, comic fans. We now return to Comic Church, leaving you right where we left off before the break. And now here's your host, Pastor Drew, the Fairy Godbrother, the Monsignor of Marvel, Sean Ray, and the Reverend Sith Lord himself, Jesse Stay.
Welcome back.
Welcome
to Comic Church.
I need something nerdy to say whenever we do that.
I know. I mean, I like saying at the end of my when we end each episode, I say "Enough said," because that was one of Stan Lee's sayings that he was trying to say and everything like that at the end of a lot of his, writings and stuff like that. But so many people were trying to copy him with everything.
Yeah.
And so you know why that's why he came up with Excelsior.
Ooh.
Because it was harder to copy that because it was so unique. And not many people knew how to spell it.
He's playing with people. That's awesome. Yeah, I'm tempted to go Simpsons and Mr. Burns route and do ahoy hoy.
But yeah, so Stan Lee, let's start off with Stan Lee. So, from the very first frames of Captain Marvel, where we normally would see the
rolling script of
Marvel Studios,
MARVEL.
their title sequence.
Yeah.
Instead of having all the different scenes from all the different comic books, they've done a special tribute to Stan. So they show all of his various incarnations in the Marvel universe, and
I hope they keep it. I mean, that is how they should keep it from now on. I mean, because I enjoyed showing all the other characters and everything like that, but this just being the writer, being the creator, and everything like that, knowing Marvel and having Stan Lee's face up there. I mean, because the thing is, after I believe Far From Home, we're not going to see Stan Lee in any more of these movies, and that is, I mean, I don't know if I'm prepared for that. I mean, when we saw him in Captain Marvel, I mean, just seeing his name up there on Marvel, the script and everything like that, seeing all his little scenes, cut scenes and everything, it did something inside. I mean, it was just so beautiful.
So let me ask you, because you probably know a little bit better, when he was on, and again, spoiler alert, when he was on the train, and Verse at that time sees him, he's reading a script. What is he reading? Because I know it's probably something from the Marvel universe. Which one was it?
It's just a nod back, and it is a script from Mallrats.
Okay.
From the 1990s, early Mallrats.
Yeah. Okay.
Because he actually did a cameo in Mallrats.
Okay.
And the thing that's funny is...
so that's when... okay.
And he's reading the script, and he's reading his actual line from the movie.
Which he would have been recording around 1995.
Around that time and everything. And so when he's sitting there, has his script reading Mallrats, I was just, I kind of...
Please tell me that there's a movie out there somewhere that they've created in secret of Stan Lee as in character. I can't remember the name of the character that they actually...
Well, there's
confirmed he actually is.
There's a fan theory that he's a watcher.
Well, he's confirmed it.
Yeah.
He's confirmed it. I'm trying to remember.
Well, and kind of also Verse, I think, recognized it when she saw him. There was that little...
Oh, the look. The two of them share.
Yeah.
So she recognized he was something
especially
special.
The look that he gave. It almost wanted to be like one of my favorite cameos that he's done. And it's hard to say which is the favorite.
Yeah.
But the little smirk,
it's like which one of your kids is favorite?
I can't say.
It depends on who's cleaning the house in my house. They all know it.
It depends on who's giving me the best love, the best attitude, and everything.
That's right.
But yeah,
I make them earn it.
Exactly. But yeah,
love you kids.
Yeah, that little thing that he does. Oh, and spoiler, that's the scene that he is in on the train.
My kids listen to this sometimes, by the way. Keep going.
Yeah, we try to keep it family friendly and everything like that, but. Yeah, and he's referencing to Mallrats, and it's funny because in Mallrats, I can't remember the actor's name. He recognizes that, it's Stan Lee. He's like, hey, the funny thing is, he's like, is the thing actually made of rock too? And so there's that little nod, even in spoiler, when Nick Fury and the Skrull is on the examination table, and they look underneath the sheet. I think that's kind of their nod to that-ish a little bit and stuff like that. So there's a lot of little nods. I mean, even when she's in Blockbuster, there's the nod. She shoots the True Lies cutout.
Yeah.
What's the movie of True Lies about? It's about a spy that's infiltrated, and so there's kind of a nod that is what Jan Rog is portraying, as he's the spy lying to the other female and stuff like that. And then even the movie she picks up, crap, I just forgot the name. But it's about space exploration and flights and stuff like that. So there's all these little teeny nods and stuff that are pretty funny.
So let's talk about the '90s references just real quick, because that's the whole. I mean, that's like. I mean, for me, I was like grinning the entire time.
And you brought up a good point this week. Like, if you were in high school or grew up in the '90s, you like the movie, and those that didn't are the ones that are probably giving bad
That's
reviews.
what I'm seeing so far. Like I asked one guy who gave it a bad review. He said he graduated in 1990. I was like, oh, that's a little older. To me, this is the ultimate movie. There's that they call it the Oregon Trail generation or the Xennial, Xennial. It's that small little group of people that I think a lot of us are in between like 1976 maybe and 1984, 1983 or so.
And this movie is a time machine back to 1995.
It's probably the first movie that actually targets that small group, that small generation that experienced all that.
Well, it's also the target demographic for advertisers now. Like that, the Oregon Trail generation is now the prime.
Yeah, and like the soundtrack to
that,
that's what I listened to in high school, that alternative 90s. When you hear me do karaoke, I'm doing that alternative 90s because that's what I grew up with. But it's but seriously, I'm surprised there's no 90s soundtrack that has been created for the movie yet. I'm hoping there will be, but there is. I'm hoping they do like a
playlist.
What did they?
I went on to Spotify and I've gone
mixtape.
Mixtape or something like that.
If they did something like the Totally Awesome Mix, but
something
did
with
it
CDs.
on a cassette or a CD.
It would have to be CDs for the 90s.
Because even Maria, her daughter. It's funny when they're going in to talk to the scroll and everything like that, and her daughter has to sit outside the front. She's got a little Discman.
She's got the Discman.
And I'm like, I think I had that one.
yeah. Drew heard me say, that's a Discman.
But like this whole 90s version, I mean, everything. I mean, even from wearing the flannel around your waist and stuff like that.
I missed that.
One thing that I loved was, she's even wearing Doc Martens.
Oh yeah!
Did you notice that?
Are you serious?
Yeah, she's wearing
I missed
Doc
that.
Martens.
Wow.
The accuracy of representing the 90s was down to every minute detail in this film. It was
I did have a
amazing.
friend say that he thought they overplayed it, but I mean I've never had a movie target my generation like that before, and I'm taking it.
Well, tell your friend to go direct a movie and underplay it then.
Yeah.
That's how they wanted to do it in this one, and I liked it. So
the nostalgia that it brought. I mean, seeing a blockbuster. And then when it shows the outside, there's the little advertisement: 5 movies for $9.99 for 5 days. I was like,
David Perry says going to see it Wednesday. Can't wait.
I remember seeing that, and then referencing the Radio Shack. Nobody's this day and age is gonna know what a Radio Shack was.
Radio Shack.
And
I was a ham radio operator, and that was like.
The beautiful thing is, when she's trying to communicate back to Jan Rog and everything like that, and she has a Game Boy taken apart.
Yeah.
Just the little things, the nods.
Or the telephone operator interrupting, saying enter the code.
It's been too long, and but there was something. Someone was mentioning that the Game Boy reference. I mean. Was back to E.T. when he took apart a speak and spell to teleport to communicate.
Well, that's what I was saying when he pulled that when the pager. I drew. I think heard me say they E.T'd it.
yeah. And I mean there's a lot of little beautiful things and stuff like that. There has been some other things. I mean just the pager in general. I mean he's sitting there. She's like, "What is that?" He's like, "Oh, I'm talking to my mom." We do see the pager.
Did you guys all have pagers?
I had a pager.
I did.
I had a pager later on. My dad had a pager, and I always thought it was the coolest thing. I always wanted one. I didn't get one until I was later on, and I was in fires and stuff like that. And so we had a pager and stuff.
Yeah, I had a friend who was EMT, a volunteer EMT in high school, and he was like the cool kid who was allowed to have them in school. But that was the big thing back then is you couldn't. The schools were trying to figure out what do we do with these pagers.
And automatically if you have a pager, you're automatically in a gang and dealing drugs.
Some of like the football stadiums wouldn't let you bring them in, and they had to start considering metal detectors and stuff like that, all because of pagers.
Yeah, I had a hidden pocket in my backpack where I hid mine.
Back to like listening to scanners. My buddy's dad, he was in the fire as well, and like going over to the house and hearing the scanner on in their front room and stuff like that. I mean, that kind of stuff.
The codes with your girlfriends on when you're supposed to call and when you're not, adding 911 to the end.
Yeah, I mean, having to have little coded messages out of what numbers, 143 or, things like that, and what the numbers meant. That was I love you.
Oh, yeah, that's right. I forgot that. Yep.
But, I mean, a lot of that stuff, the nostalgia that's in this movie, it is beautiful at the very end when she's fighting the Kree on the ship and stuff like that. It's I am a girl.
No Doubt.
No Doubt. The No Doubt.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, yes. Or playing Nirvana when she's going back into the memory and stuff, and it's just like
there are a total of 13 90s songs in the movie. Just to count. Marvel released a whole blog post on all the 90s songs.
Yeah, like I said, I've gone on to I listen to Spotify. If Spotify wants to sponsor us or anything like that, I would love to get rid of commercials, but. I've gone on there and I've gone to their soundtrack and tried to listen to that version, the 90s soundtrack of Captain Marvel. There's some other ones that I like. I love James Gunn's mix that he does on Spotify because it's like everything that he wanted to put into the Guardians movies that he didn't have enough time or space for. It's all on there. So there's a lot that, I love listening to Spotify, when I'm working out or something.
I actually found a good playlist with all the 90s songs from it. I'll have to find the link to it and I'll share it. But Marvel hasn't even released a playlist, which just makes no sense to me.
CD.
I wish they'd be promoting these 90s songs more.
I mean, what are some of the other kind of 90s things that you kind of saw in the movie? That
there's the lunchbox, which was more 80s.
The Fonz, and there was something that kind of meant what that was and stuff. So
I wish there was a Blockbuster music reference because there's Blockbuster movies in it, but they got the Blockbuster thing.
Late 90s.
It was late 90s, and this was more early 90s, I think.
Yeah, I've spent hours upon hours in Blockbuster videos. Walking up and down aisles when I was a kid.
Did you rent
the
video games there? When they first started renting video games.
We had to rent the whole console.
Nintendo games.
We had,
Oh, you could do that too, yeah.
Yeah, because when we were younger, we had to rent the whole console, and it would have to be for a weekend. Like it was a spring break weekend, and I'd have to beg my mom, and I think it was like $8 to rent the console and something, and then we'd have to rent like 2 or 3 games, and that's all I would do.
If you've seen the movie and you have a 90s reference that we haven't caught, share it in the comments on Facebook or Instagram or anywhere else we are.
Yep.
Yeah.
YouTube.
And, so we're coming up to the top of the hour here. So when we come back, we're going to get into the actual significant moral and inspirational messages that we got out of this film. There's so many. But there's 2 main ones that we're going to touch up on.
We'll touch on those. I want to say real quick, some of the ones that I really liked, the 90s references, were the computers. When they're sitting waiting for everything to load and everyone's looking at each other. And like this girl's like, what's going on? They're like, oh, it's loading.
Yeah.
Or when she's typing up some information and stuff like that, and it keeps saying, your time is up.
We'll talk about that when we come back. You're listening to Comic.Church on K-Talk. We'll be right back after the top of the hour news break.
We now return to Hour 2 of Comic Church on K-Talk, AM 1640. Real local two-way comic psycho spiritual talk. With your hosts, Drew the Fairy Godbro, the Reverend Sith Lord Jesse Stay, and the Monsignor of Marvel, Sean Ray. And now we return to the sanctum of spirituality, Comic Church.
Unmute. Welcome back.
Stuff like that. See, I'm gonna. We're talking about producing, and I want to get into it and stuff like that. And so, just I was watching you not push unmute, and you're sitting there talking. I'm like, it's unmute.
It's better not being unmuted than forgetting to mute.
True.
Yeah, we were talking a little bit Captain Marvel. Obviously, it's kind of a Captain Marvel heavy, which I kind of enjoy. I mean, that's the whole persona of what we want to do with Comic.Church and stuff, and just the relatability of what it is to now our social injustice and stuff like that with nowadays. I mean, the feminism that it is and stuff. I mean, one of the things, like especially in our review, I had said I'm very excited for my daughter to see this, and I mean, my mom went out and saw this. She's like, I read your review and I wanted to go see it. And so she loved it. She called me afterwards. I mean, I love everybody, all my friends and family and stuff like that. Any of these movies come out, they call me. My cousin texts me, hey, I'm on my way to go see the movie. I'm like, he's like, or my little sister, before she went to see the preview, she's like, what do I need to know?
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, basically, it's an origin. You just need to know the timeline. This takes place in the 90s. And my mom she's like, but I didn't understand this part. I'm like, it took place before this movie. And she's like, oh, that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah. So, and with that, we start the movie with the Kree. And I'm like, wait, I thought they were the bad guys.
Yeah, and that's the beautiful thing. I mean, spoiler.
Sorry.
Is it's kind of a misleading, and I have a friend that does a lot of movies, and she's like, oh, it was very predictable because you need this, and you need this, and you need this to go on. And to me, it was predictable because I kind of knew the storyline, and I knew what it is. I knew what to expect. But yeah, you start out with the Kree, and you start out with her. You know, it doesn't really give you much information or anything. And at the beginning, she goes to Jan Rog, and they're training and stuff like that. And he's basically telling her, you need to learn to suppress your powers. You need to, learn to use us. You learn we as a team, and basically trying to suppress
in spiritual
her.
terms, create a codependency.
Yeah.
So he was trying to create a codependency on her. So her powers, her control, her ability as a hero relied on him and the group.
Exactly.
Which is how you disempower a person.
And yeah, exactly. And they wanted to do that because they knew she was a powerful, person, and they wanted her to not think that. They were they got into her head and were making her feel unpowerful, and she was just part of the team and everything like that. And like you said, that's a way to disempower somebody.
Yeah. And so let's talk about that. How, because we like to compare these epic comic stories, and then how does that apply to our life?
Yeah.
Recognizing what does it look like when someone is attempting to disempower another person? To create that codependency. And then, when you recognize that, start asking the questions, why?
Exactly.
Recognizing that, okay, that person is trying to take away my power.
Yeah.
And recognizing that is not, that's a manipulation tactic. That's a control tactic. And
I think that's one way that I've always kind of gotten in trouble throughout life and everything like that is because I kind of see something that's not really right, or it's unethical, or that kind of goes against my standards, my morals and stuff like that. So I question and I ask, I'm like, well, why is it like this? And that's when I always get in trouble because I'm insubordinate and I'm going against what they are telling me to do. But
that sounds like Hydra talking.
Yeah, I mean, this is the way it's done.
Yeah.
And even if it's totally against what you were raised, what you were taught to do, I'm more powerful than you, so you need to listen to me.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a lot of that right now, especially in politics and things like that. But that's the thing is, like, how do you go against that. I mean, there's
very easily.
There's tactful ways to
Yeah.
do it and stuff like that, or you can go with the mob and go against it. I mean, that's the thing is nowadays is how do you do that? Especially now we have like social media and all this kind of stuff
and the call out culture.
So a lot of people, and that's where a lot of these toxic geeks they hide behind the computer. They hide behind those things and stuff like that. Instead of, we had I can't remember her name. She ran for mayor.
Shireen Gorbani.
She saw something, and instead of hiding behind, and just throwing out words from time to time, stepped up and did something about it. And that's the thing is a lot of these geeks, if you have a problem with something, if you have a problem with too much humor in a movie, or get out there and make your own movie. Make your own movie that doesn't have too much 90s nostalgic, feel in it.
Exactly.
If you have a problem with that, get up there and do something about it. And that's, one of the things that we really, try to do here on this podcast and stuff like that is empower yourself. I mean, if you see something wrong, stand up and do something.
Yeah.
I mean, you're one of the biggest people I know that do that. I mean, and that's the thing is, I've known you for several years, and Drew has always been like that. And, if something's not the way that he sees it, and he stands up and he has a voice, and he does it.
And it's painful at times.
It is.
But you know what? I've also come to a point in my life, I don't care what other people think. Like, I have no allegiances. Well, I do have allegiances, but shame me all you want. Like,
I like
me,
my crew, my posse,
Yeah.
etc. are going to be the people that don't judge me for sharing what I think and what I feel, and will forgive me when I say something stupid sometimes. But they can always know it's raw and what I'm currently feeling at the time.
Yeah.
And those are the people you need to surround yourself with. I mean, not people that are going to tell you to hush and be quiet. I mean, they're going to let you stand up and talk, and they're going to kind of motivate you to do that.
And that's what I love about K-Talk, because this is definitely a place where we could stand up and talk, and the station owner provides us this platform to do it, and that's
that's the thing is, find those
for
people that motivate you to do it, and then even if you have different beliefs as those people, they still motivate you to speak up. I mean, and that's one of the biggest and best things that you can do to kind of create your circle. Is, I mean, there's a lot of different beliefs between the three of us, but the thing is, I'm not going to down talk to Drew because he has a different political belief than I do, or Jesse has a different social belief than I do. I mean, still stand up and speak your mind, but I'm not gonna sit there and after you talk how you just said some crap and stuff like that.
Unless you start talking about flat Earth, and then then we will talk about that, because that's just silly.
All this nonsense and everything.
But no, let's talk about empowerment, though.
It's good radio, though.
It is good radio. Let's talk about empowerment, because that is one of the key storylines here. Is what is a transition that happens with Carol Danvers once she steps into her own power, once she realizes that she has the power and doesn't need the AI or her commander or anybody to supplement. Like, she in her own power has always been powerful, and there's a whole flashback scene from when she was a kid, falling down
Standing
baseball. Every time you fall, stand right back up.
And I think that was the turning point. I've seen this movie a couple times already. And I see that is the turning point. When they're trying to completely suppress her, and she's in alien shackles, and she starts to think. They talk about her human being a weakness. Her being a human is a weakness. But then she comes to the understanding, no, I am human.
That's my strength.
That is my strength.
Yeah.
And that is the turning point from when she goes from slave to empowerment.
I love that.
And that is that from that scene, that's when you get the chills. That is my no man's land from Wonder Woman scene. is when she stands up and they are surprised. They're like, wait, she's in shackles.
Mm-hmm.
What is she doing? And she stands up and says, no, I am human. And from that point...
do you know what that scene reminded me of? The series finale of Buffy the Vampire Slayer.
Oh, yeah?
When Willow activates all the Slayer girls all around the world all at once to fight the final evil.
Uh-huh.
And, you know, there's a scene where she does that, and then all of a sudden all of these girls step into their power as Slayers. And it was very reminiscent of that.
Really? I watched a couple episodes. My older sister was a Buffy freak.
Yeah.
She loved it. But, yeah, and that's all beautiful because it is the female and everything like that. But, yeah, she stands up, and that's when she starts kicking butt. I am human. And the beautiful thing is, in the comic books, there is a point where she becomes, oh, my goodness. I said it in our review. She is like ultimate. Oh, I am a bad geek right
spin
now.
your microphone so it actually points towards your mouth.
She becomes all powerful, and she starts kicking butt and everything like that. And then, you know, you get down to the point where they're all trying to run from her, and she jumps on Yon-Rog's ship, and, you know, they end up on Earth. And he's sitting there trying to play the manipulation and is about, you know, has guns on her, and then he puts him down. And he's like, "Oh, I'm so proud of you," and he's manipulating, and he's trying to, you know, this is what I wanted you to do. Fight me like a real person. Fight me like, you know, I've trained you. And that's when she.
So he's trying to disempower her.
Yeah, totally.
Fight me, Wyatt. But first, let me disempower. Let me remind you that you're small, that you're nothing. You know, come down to my level and fight me.
Yeah, and it kind of goes back to that whole first scene when they're training and everything like that, and that is the beautiful part. Total reference to Raiders of the Lost Ark, and he's sitting there after he put his weapons down. He's like, "Come on, bring it on, fight me," and she just photon blasts him, and it is just like, yes. And she walks up to him and she just says, "You know, I don't have to prove anything to you."
Yeah.
And you know, that little scene, that little sentence was just one of the highlights, pivotal parts of the movie that was just so beautiful.
And I'm glad you brought that up, because we're gonna get into that element here in our next segment. You know, imagine what life could be like for us as little non-powerful humans if we didn't have to live our lives trying to prove something to someone else, an organization, anybody else. Like, imagine the freedom and the power that comes from no longer having to prove your worth.
Oh yeah.
You know, and we're going to talk about that a little bit. So, but you're listening to Comic.Church on K-Talk, AM 1640, real, local, two-way talk. We are talking Captain Marvel, talking about stepping into your power, being empowered, women empowerment, and also having nothing to prove. So we'll talk more about that after this commercial break. We'll be right back.
When the fake news stations are slick as ice this winter, cut through with K-Talk Media, your favorite local talk station.
When a challenge rises up, do we let it stand in our way or go the distance to overcome it? I didn't want to stay at the bottom, but after I was shot in Afghanistan, I was told I'd never walk again, if I even survived. My wife and healthcare providers were there to help me climb my hill. I learned that psychological care is key to recovery from both physical and invisible wounds. Decide now that I will take the first step. Visit realwarriors.net or call 800-874-2273.
The weekend is coming, and you need to plan a date night. You could go to a movie and dinner, but there's nothing original about that. Here's a new and exciting idea. Take your date indoor shooting at the Armory Gun Range. Instead of renting a bowling lane or playing miniature golf, yay, you can rent a shooting lane at the Armory Gun Range. Impress your spouse or your date with your original plan. The Armory can provide both guns and ammo, and rookies are welcome.
I would be excited if my boyfriend took me shooting. The Armory is located in Sandy at 9210 South and 248 West. The phone number is 801-447-1789. Again, that is 801-447-1789. You can also check out their website at armoryshootingrange.com. The range is open from 10 a.m. to 8 p.m. Monday through Saturday.
The Armory Gun Range, blowing holes in boring date nights.
Hi, I'm Gary Sinise. Our veterans put everything on the line to protect our freedom. We may never be able to repay them for their sacrifice, but we can show them just how much we appreciate all they've done. Please visit www.volunteer.va.gov.
AARP is the nation's largest nonprofit, nonpartisan organization dedicated to empowering Americans 50 and older to choose how they live as they age. No limits, no labels. Aging is changing. Visit aarp.org/UT for more information. Make the most of each day with AARP.
The Kubota L2501 tractor is one of the best-selling compact tractors in America for a reason. They're comfortable, spacious, easy to control, and have a range of performance-matched implements to tackle all kinds of jobs. Right now, get a Kubota L2501 with a 6-year warranty, plus 0% APR financing for up to 60 months, or great customer instant rebates. Now through December 31st, 2018. See us or go to KubotaUSA.com for more information.
Find a Kubota dealer near you at GoKubota.com.
Welcome back, comic fans. We now return to Comic.Church, leaving you right where we left off before the break. And now here's your host, Pastor Drew the Fairy Godbrother, the Monsignor of Marvel, Sean Ray, and the Reverend Sith Lord himself, Jesse Stay.
Welcome back.
Hey.
You're listening to Comic.Church.
It's another 90s. Totally.
It has a whole new meaning nowadays, so I don't know.
A lot of that stuff, you know.
Yeah.
My 90s is getting ruined with all the latest stories here. All my heroes.
I can't say Shamona without getting getting me too'd or whatever. I don't know.
Oh,
so we were talking about stepping into, we're just going to cross right over that. Before the break, not having to prove anything to anyone, and you know that was one of the pivotal moments in Captain Marvel, is when she steps into her power. She's just kicked major butt, and then she comes back to the person that has been trying to disempower her and create a codependency for her, and she realizes like you're nothing.
Yeah. Real quick, when she becomes all powerful and everything, that's binary.
Okay.
When she becomes binary. And the thing is, it's cool in the comics, she does take a role when she is with the X-Men called binary. And that was kind of one of her things. And they did mention it in there, so it was kind of cool. But yeah, she steps up.
So she's in the X-Men universe as well.
Yes. Huge.
Wow. Okay.
That's the thing is, I mean, with Carol Danvers and with Miss Marvel, she didn't really have a huge comic book following or anything like that until the late 2000s, because Marvel didn't really know what to do with her, but they had to use her name, because if they lost it, then Captain Marvel would be taken by DC, and so they had to use her name.
Imagine that.
She's ran with the X-Men, she's ran with the Immortals, she's ran with the Avengers, everybody. Huge. She did a lot with the X-Men, actually.
So Deadpool's copying her.
Pretty much. Well, in a sense,
as the cross universe.
And she's even had she's been even in one of the biggest hot topic controversial episodes of comic books in Avengers 200, the biggest thing and stuff like that. And it was a huge controversy where she was being mind manipulated again by another alien and impregnated her and took her away, married her, and took her off. And, again, she disappeared for a couple of years and stuff like that. So, the whole mind manipulation by Carol Danvers is a big thing, but the thing is, after everything, she always comes back, and she has that powerful who she is and stuff like that. And she's become a huge character in the last, 10 years or so. I mean, she was a huge role in Civil War II, speaking her mind and standing up for what she believed against, again, Iron Man. He's always the one. It's always he's the big guy. He's always thinks that he's more powerful, smarter than everybody else, telling them, no, this is right, and then somebody else steps up. Captain America, Captain Marvel stepping up and say, no, this is what I stand for. This is what I believe. You're wrong. And it's a huge, controversial fight and everything like that. And so she is very strong in her beliefs and standing up for what she is and what she thinks is right.
And so in the movie, we see this moment where once again she reclaims that power of, I have nothing to prove to you.
Yeah.
So let's take it back to our realities here, Salt Lake City, Utah. What could be possible if we lived our lives not having to prove our worth, not having to prove our value, or, to some outside power or person or individual that has really nothing to do with who we are. Whether it's a boss, a friend, a religion, there's so many different levels that we sometimes find ourselves that we have to prove our value, have to prove our worth.
Yeah.
What if we could go throughout our lives without having to waste that conscious energy of trying to prove something we already know? Because ultimately, to the other person, our value is irrelevant. It only matters to us, what our value is. And if all that wasted conscious energy of trying to prove your value to somebody that really doesn't matter.
What if you could just be?
Yeah.
This is what I hate about the idea of missionary work
and
other things like that is it's trying to prove a reality that exists out there rather than just being. To me, the best way you can live, I'll come up with a good quote here, but the best way you can live is a life and a reality where you are living the way you should be, and others just follow. If you look at it from a Christian perspective, that's what Jesus did in the Bible. And you can look at it from a bunch of other different perspectives as well. And all the biggest heroes of our time have lived their lives and knew their value. They knew their worth. They didn't care what anyone thought, and others just followed. That is the ultimate, quote, missionary work that exists out there, whether it's your own reality or whatever. You don't have to have anyone follow you. It doesn't matter. People will just follow if you're living a life that is true and authentic. And maybe they won't, and who cares?
Well, and we don't have to live life where people follow us.
That's not what it's about.
So let's take
But follow us here on Comic.Church.
But do follow us on our social medias. No, but kind of along the same lines, though. We all grew up. All three of us, we grew up members of the LDS Church, and one thing culturally that was really ingrained in the culture is, am I worthy? Every year I'd have to go sit with my bishop in really inappropriate interviews with, as a teenager being asked sexually explicit questions, down to everything about the individual, and the question is, am I worthy? Am I worthy to get this limited use temple recommend to go do baptisms for the dead? Am I worthy to go, have this calling? Am I worthy of this? Am I worthy to pass the sacrament? Am I worthy? And so, I was programmed my whole life to question my worth.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
As if that was something that was decided upon by some arbitrary set standards with, and it's such a mind screw.
It's not Christian.
It's not Christian. It was up until probably my 20s until I really started awakening and realizing that, I am worthy, and that worth is determined by me and me alone.
There you go.
And that there's nothing to prove. Just like Carol, I have nothing to prove to you.
Yeah.
My value my inherent worth, my moral credit score, whatever you want to call it, is not up for debate.
Yeah.
It's something that's determined by me and me alone. And once you claim that power, you take that power away from other people,
it's so freeing.
It is
to hold your own power and to know, yourself. I am worthy. I am not. Because something similar. I mean, I've always gone through feeling a little different, just because I'm not. I don't run with the grain. I don't run with everybody else. I don't really follow as much. I have always kind of been on the edge of right and wrong type of thing. I mean, I always got in trouble for church because I wore colorful shirts and huge.
How dare you not wear the uniform of the Aaronic priesthood?
Like these colorful ties, and they were saying your ties are distracting, and I'm like, distracting to what? You should be glad that I'm here. I mean, and always just feeling that I'm different from some sense because I don't necessarily run with the popular crowd. I don't do what everybody else is doing.
Well, it also became where a literal metaphor of a white shirt became a literal representation of your worthiness.
Yeah.
If you weren't the whitest shade of white, you weren't. It's virtue signaling.
And the thing is, it's not even in the rules.
Yeah.
That says you need to wear a white shirt. It was just.
Yeah.
It has been done for so long that became
a virtue signal to show how top of the game you are above everyone else.
It's growing wheat on the Sabbath.
Yeah.
And so me wearing different colored shirts or having Star Wars ties, Batman ties. I wore these
or
all these
passing
different
the
ties.
sacrament with the left hand.
And I couldn't do.
Oh my gosh.
A lot of that. I couldn't do the sacrament if I had a different tie on, and it wasn't just a paisley maroon tie. It was I had a tie with a bunch of sheep on it, or I had a tie with motorcycles, and they were like, "That it's that you
and
can't."
It's
be
so
doing
lame
that.
because they're attaching value and worth onto arbitrary things like what you wear.
And then that goes along with just in society as well and everything like that because I don't work the same 9 to 5. I don't do what everybody else is doing. I don't wear a suit out and everything. I wore clothes that I don't care. A 12-year-old supposedly would wear is what I'm told by some people.
Yeah.
But the thing is, I have so many other people that are like, I love your style because it's you. It's who you are, and I feel comfortable doing it.
Yeah.
I was always told growing up, all these comic books, this is useless knowledge. You're never going to use it. It's all, why don't you learn something that's of importance and everything? And, here I am now, and I love this. I mean, if I could go back and read everything and do everything the same just so I can do a podcast like this or enjoy this
and see what once someone tried to disempower you with, you found your power.
I mean, once you look inside of who you are and everything like that, that's who you are, and embrace it and love it, because when you do that, then you feel better about who you are, because there's always been that part, when everyone's telling you you're doing the wrong thing. That's when depression, anxiety, and all this, that you're not part of the social norm. You're not, doing what everybody else is doing. You're not doing what is right. Mm-hmm. But being able to stand up, and that's why one thing I try to express to my kids is be who you are, be who you want to be. I gave my son a shirt the other day, and it's of a therapist, psychologist sitting at his chair, and it's got a unicorn laying on the bed, talking, doing this therapy thing, and it says, the therapist says, you just need to believe in yourself,
Yeah.
And, that kind of stuff. Believe in who you are, and if it's something that you enjoy, embrace it. I mean, and that's the thing is there's so many people that are, metaphorically still in the closet, and with a lot of things, and get out. And once you come out, how much more freeing is it? And how much
because
more
you're able to be your authentic self, who you really are.
Yeah, instead of hiding who you are from everybody else. Just because
there's nothing preventing you from expanding that energy either. I mean, you are limited as long as you aren't willing to be your authentic self.
I'm limited. Just look at me. I'm limited. He tried really.
Preach
Did you get tickets?
I never did.
Well, we'll be back next year. So
I
back next year.
missed it.
We're talking Wicked. If
I
you
was
don't
trying
know.
to.
Yeah.
I mean, I need to see this. If anybody wants to sponsor and send me somewhere, I mean, it was my grandma's favorite play.
It is such a great show. Have you read the book?
I have the books.
The book and the musical is so different. The book is so much more darker.
It is, and it's kind of dirty. I have the soundtracks and everything like that. I've actually seen a little bit of a bootleg copy of the play.
I had the opportunity last time they were here when it was in Capitol Theater. I got to sit in the rhythm section in the orchestra pit.
Cool.
A good friend of mine was in the band down there. So I got, with all the drums and all, especially with Wicked, there's so many special percussion instruments that create the whole sonic sound of Wicked. And I got to just sit on a chair watching them follow the music, grabbing all these different water phones where it's like, it got that watery, metally sound. It was, oh my gosh, like it was one of those things like I wish I could like slow down and play it at halftime, how amazing it was. And
So that's
from the very first note of the band from the beginning to it was incredible.
That's the thing. I love the special effects. I love the editing of movies and stuff like that. And the thing is, I mean, they did good, especially with this movie, Captain Marvel. I mean, just the editing, her fists when they glow and they have the it is just so beautiful. And I just read something. They just finished editing, doing everything
in the can
with Marvel Endgame.
In the can.
It is ready to go.
Huh.
So
have they said how long it's going to be? Because it was 4 hours. It was 4 hours, and I know they've had to cut an hour off of it. They had to cut it down,
so I think it is down to the 3 hour mark.
Okay,
that's where they were testing critics and fans and everything like that, and 3 hours is where they had it. Like I said, if they
I'd be happy with 4.
If
like,
they could
put
do
an
an
intermission
editor's
in the
cut
middle
and release that DVD, I am down.
Yeah.
I mean, they did that with the Lord of the Rings, so why can't they do that with the Marvel universe?
But yeah, so let's just wrap up this topic of stepping into your power. Not having to prove your worth. That was the turning point for Carol.
Oh, and like I said, and Jesse and I agreed that part when that scene, that was such a motivational, so inspiring part of Captain Marvel. When she stepped into her power, who she was, I mean, just a total hardcore. I mean, she's flying through ships like they're paper. I mean, just ripping through them. And when she's going up there and just taking on all the Kree, spoiler, Ronan, all the accusers when they're coming down to bomb Earth and everything like that. Did you like how the accusers' ships were kind of similar to another ship, Ronan's, in Guardians?
Yeah, I did notice that.
Yeah.
I did notice that.
It was kind of cool and stuff like that. And Korath, he was in the movie. He was one of the elite Kree Strike Force team and everything like that.
And who is Korath again? Just for our audience.
Korath is he was one of Ronan Accuser's little henchmen and stuff like that. He was in Guardians of the Galaxy at the first when Peter Quill is getting one of the stones at the very first scene, and he's like, "You might know me by another name, Star-Lord." And he's like, and Korath is like, "Who?" And Drax kills him at the end. He has a little bit of modification, and Drax rips his skull. And it's that is Korath. So there's even stories inside stories here with people are questioning, well, Ronan, where did he go from there? One thing that looked different, it took me the second time to seeing it. Ronan didn't have all the black makeup on and everything like that. He wasn't that big, powerful, leader at that time. But it was really cool to see a lot of those characters in there and stuff, because this was set before Guardians.
Yeah.
So. Wow.
Yeah, the cool. I loved the. They actually animated the parts of. I just went blank of the two agents.
Coulson's hairline.
Coulson looked young, and Nick Fury looked young. He looked great.
And Fury. But yeah, it was really cool. That was all digitally animated, and they actually played the part really well.
There were some questions on Coulson. We can talk about that in a minute after we come from break, because there were some things that with Coulson that were kind of brought up, especially some other things with the Kree blood and stuff like that.
And Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. So we will be talking about that coming back from this commercial break. But yeah, you're listening to Comic Church on K-Talk, AM 1640, real, local, two-way talk. We'll be right back after this. Hey there, comic book fans and believers in all things geekdom. This is Pastor Drew, the Fairy Godbro, and I just want to let you know that all of us here at Comic Church are working hard to build a place that we can all come to, a place of refuge, a place to be edified by the universes that inspire us the most. And this show, it's just the launching off point. We invite you to subscribe to our podcast, Church, using your favorite podcasting service. We're on iTunes, Google Play, Spotify, TuneIn, and more. Also, please like our Facebook page, Church on K-Talk. On our page, you'll have a chance to interact with us live each Sunday. Plus, you'll have a chance to hear from us as we post our thoughts, inspirational somethings, and whatnots all throughout the week. We have so much in store for 2019 and into the future, and we invite you to come along and be a part of it. We at Comic Church know exactly how important fans are, and we thank you for taking a chance and being our fans.
Military life is rewarding, but it isn't always easy.
Managing the stress can affect even the strongest warrior.
But I will stay mission ready.
I will
keep my mind and body fit.
Talk to my chaplain.
Seek care early. Strive for progress, not perfection.
I got this.
I got this.
Take the first step.
There's no better time than now.
Reaching out is a sign of strength. Visit realwarriors.net or call 800-874-2273.
You're listening to the all-new K-Talk Media, KBJA 1640 AM, Sandy, Salt Lake, and the entire Wasatch Front, bringing you live, local, two-way talk.
The essence of sales is transferring enthusiasm to the customer. K-Talk Media is looking for people who have an unabashed enthusiasm for live local radio and who would love to share the message of our station with businesses who would like to tap into our large, loyal audience. Do you want a fun, energetic, and rewarding position with a company that makes a difference? Then join our team and feel the love. Full, part-time, or anytime positions available with great compensation. Call us today, 801-253-4883, 801-253-4883, or go to ktalkmedia.com and shoot us a message.
Stay away from religious topics, not here on K-Talk. Listen each Sunday evening at 7 p.m. to The Interpreter Show for fascinating religious discussions, hot debates, and the latest in religious scholarship, archaeology, and ancient documents. Whether you're Catholic, Mormon, Protestant, agnostic, and atheist, or something else, you'll want to listen to The Interpreter Show Sunday evenings at 7 p.m. here on K-Talk. You gotta hear it.
I am a veteran. I spent 2 years alone and homeless.
As America's veterans face challenges, DAV is there.
My victory was finding the support to get back on my feet.
DAV helps veterans of every generation get the benefits they've earned.
I'm a veteran. When I got out, I felt like nowhere was safe.
So veterans can reach victories, great and small.
My victory was finding the help I needed. Thanks to DAV, now I feel like I'm human again.
Support more victories for veterans. Go to DAV.org.
When it's cold outside, warm up with the hottest live local two-way talk. K-Talk Media, 1640 AM.
Welcome back, comic fans. We now return to Comic Church, leaving you right where we left off before the break. And now here's your host, Pastor Drew, the Fairy Godbrother, the Monsignor of Marvel, Sean Ray, and the Reverend Sith Lord himself, Jesse Stay.
Welcome back to Comic Church on K-Talk.
We're talking geeky tattoos on the break.
They are. They were touching each other's bodies and everything. It was a little weird.
Drew was loving it.
Well, it's just like, I'm the gay man over here, and the two straighties are touching each other. What's going on? Maybe it is that. We were also talking about Star Trek Discovery and how a reoccurring storyline is Alice in the Looking Glass. and how what's up is down, down is up, and I'm like, maybe this is the upside down world, you know. But quick Marvel other comic book crossover. So we've talked about Umbrella Academy.
Oh yeah. Finished it.
So Ben has a flirkin in his tummy.
Yes, yeah. That's one thing when Drew we were watching it, and spoiler, we're not going to say what it is. We're just going to say the flirkin. Nobody knows what it is. There was one. That was another comment somebody had asked me. But the flirkin, if you've seen Umbrella Academy,
it's a cat.
Dude, you're such a
dude.
No, I'm not saying what it is.
You have to
I'm
spoil
not saying what it is.
So now I have to.
So
say,
we're not going to tell you what a flirkin is. It's a cat. I'm not going to tell you what it is.
Obviously, the only cat that's in the movie.
Exactly.
Okay, so in the
it's
comic
a cute
book,
cat.
In the comic book,
you have to spoil.
But that's the argument
of
the movie is a flirkin or a cat.
She had a pet cat, flirkin, and in the comic books, his name was Chewie.
Okay.
As opposed to, one of the most famous co-pilots in the universe is Chewbacca. And so in this one, it was kind of a cool reference. They named it Goose. Out of one of the, better co-pilots in Top Gun.
Okay.
So,
I
the
didn't notice
flirkin.
That.
Yeah,
cool.
Yeah. So the flirkin in the Umbrella Academy on Netflix, he is the 6th Umbrella Academy kid, and he is able to jet out or tentacles.
He has from what I've read, he has the ability to portal with a demon dimension, and that demon's able to portal through his belly button or whatever, and it's a flirkin.
Yeah,
that's
cool.
A spoiler right there.
We're not going to say. Well,
I wasn't going to say that.
Spoiler. And that's
we're going to be spoiling for the whole last segment. So
I'll spoil some more real quick.
We've already spoiled it quite a bit. We should add a big spoiler alert on our.
So a lot of people were commenting Nick Fury's eyes and everything like that, and so they were saying, he's not. He's saying that the last person he trusted, he lost his eye. That's why he doesn't trust. And they were thinking, it's going to be the Skrulls. He trusted the Skrulls.
This is a huge spoiler alert.
Huge spoiler. And so when he's sitting there. Petting Goose and everything like that, and he's like, I love you, and he even makes a comment about trusting the cat and everything like that. And then one of the Skrull, Toleron, I don't know if I'm saying it right. He even tells Nick Fury, hey, you can't trust that, that's a flirkin, and Fury's like, it's a cat,
That's why I said it's a cat.
And so he does scratch it, and that's where Nick Fury loses his eye. As opposed to in the comic books, when he was part of the Howling Commandos, Wolverine was a crossover and part of the Howling Commandos as well, and they got into it, and Wolverine was one of the causes of Nick Fury losing his eye in the comic books.
Storyline.
So they kind of changed it a little bit. There are multiple other storylines where
it could be just another dimension, and another universe,
like the DC universe of their
like
52.
the Spideyverse.
Yeah.
But I mean, was there anything else in there? I mean, Drew had asked me about Agent Coulson.
Yeah, so there's a couple crossovers that I noticed of potential. So in Captain Marvel, we learned that she gains her powers two ways. First, she's infused by
It's called the Psych Magnetron in the comic books.
Well, which we find out was powered by
the Tesseract.
The Tesseract, which is the space.
Spoiler alert again.
This whole segment, this is the last segment, is a spoiler. Yeah, it is the space stone.
So she gets her powers from there, but then also she gets infused with Kree blood.
Yeah. So at first she is infused. She destroys one of the engines. Because Marvel was creating
the motor, not the
engine. The motor, everything, the power from the Tesseract. And now the Tesseract, as the space, they all had hyperdrive abilities and everything like that. But the Space Stone can instantly put you in anywhere you wanted to be in space at any time. And that's why the Skrulls wanted it, is because they can get further away from the Kree. Now she blew up the engine, which infused her with Tesseract ability and blood and everything like that. But what Marvel did is he infused his blood with hers.
Not Marvel.
Or Jan Rog.
Yeah.
He infused her blood, and it gave her a little bit more abilities of like the space, the toxic community, and some of those other things and stuff.
So my question was, is that the inspiration that gave Coulson the idea for Tahiti, which now we're in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.?
We're in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. After Avengers and everything like that. And there's a lot of questions and theories that that's what it is. And if you've followed and watched Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. and stuff like that, there is a part where, with the blue blood and things like that, the Skrull were in the last season, I believe it was, of S.H.I.E.L.D. And that is a huge, and I think that this next season of S.H.I.E.L.D., I really hope that they touch on that a little bit, because there isn't any definitive answer to what it is, but I really think that is what whole project.
Both Coulson
Tahiti,
and Daisy were brought back by being injected with Kree blood.
Carol, Daisy Ridley, you're thinking.
Well, I'm thinking Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.
Yes,
she was Sky. Right. She was
That's
actually
right.
she was Sky then.
Wow.
Yeah, she was
I didn't put
Sky.
two and two
Sky.
together
So this
with
is
that.
before she gets her powers.
Yeah, with Quake and everything like that.
Yeah.
It's the whole Skrull DNA and everything like that.
Yeah.
Kree DNA.
Or it's Kree.
Yeah.
Yes.
Wow.
So she was injected, and I went back and I've been rewatching the first season of S.H.I.E.L.D.
I almost forgot about
and
that.
So I'm curious if Tahiti
is
was
an
inspired
or
by
something because of Carol, because it all
Wow.
that whole thing took place before. Now this is a kind of a cool thing at the end. Spoiler again. At the end, when Nick Fury is writing down Phase 1 of what is it? The Protector,
the Punisher,
the Protector Initiative. And now that's Phase 1. And now he goes and looks and sees that Carol Danvers' call sign was the Avenger. And so he changed it to the Avengers Initiative. And it's funny because you go back to Avengers, the Avengers #1 movie.
Yeah.
And, kind of when they're all coming to conclusion, Tony Stark, Steve Rogers, they're all finding their own different version of what Nick Fury is really behind. They're sitting in the Bruce Banner's little office or scientist room, and Tony Stark turns to Nick Fury and says, "Now what is Phase 2?" Because Phase 1 was the Avengers Initiative. Now, Marvel likes to do their things in phases. Endgame will end Phase 3, and then we will go into Phase 4 with Spider-Man: Far From Home. Phase 4 is going to be a whole new ball game. We're going to be losing a couple of the initial Avengers. There are some contracts, I think about 3 Avengers that have a contract that is still going at least to another movie.
So before we get
It'll all be Spider-Pig at that point.
So before we get that far, I have another theory that last night when I was
watching S.H.I.E.L.D.
But no, so Carol Danvers received her power from the Tesseract, which was the Space Stone, which means she's quantumly entangled with the Space Stone, which Thanos is also quantumly entangled with the Space Stone. So I don't know. I wonder if there's going to be something. He can't destroy her without destroying himself.
But the thing is, he isn't as infused as she is, because he just has the stone on his glove, and if the glove is off,
didn't it kind of break and fuse?
It breaks. We don't exactly know how that's going to play into it or anything like that. But the thing is, if he takes the glove off, he has no control, no connection to any of the stones, as opposed to she has been infused with some of it and stuff like that.
And that gives her an immunity, though, to
some of the space ability and stuff like that of the stone.
Can she overcome space and time like he has the capability to do?
Not necessarily there have been times in the comics where she can almost teleport. Now that does do a lot with the space-time and everything like that. She does have, and that has been brought up as a question, she does have some sort of ability of space and time.
Here's the deal with Avengers, though. It's
because
a team
she's
effort.
quantumly entangled with the Space Stone.
Entangled. So there are 2 Avengers coming into Endgame that have some sort of ability in the quantum realm, and that is Ant-Man and Carol Danvers. Now the 2 of them, and now we know there's going to be some time stuff going on in Endgame. Where I believe they're somehow going to go back. There's been pictures taken on set of the first Avengers movie, and I think that somewhere
he's going to get that final.
They've got to bring Doctor Strange back.
They're going to go back and mess with the Tesseract before, because Thor ends up with it.
Yeah.
Someone was asking me, well, where does it go? What's the story of the Tesseract? So at the end of Avengers, at the beginning of Avengers, Nick Fury has the Tesseract, and they're trying to manipulate it into weapons or power or whatever. Eventually Loki gets it, and he opens up the portals for the Kree to come down, the Skrulls, and then from there, Thor takes it back to Odin's vault, and then from there it sits until Thor Ragnarok, where as Loki is going to get oh my goodness, I am a bad geek. He's going to get the helmet to put it in the eternal flame. He grabs the Tesseract, and then at the beginning of Infinity War, he gives it to Thanos. So that's kind of the storyline of the Tesseract. So something's going to happen with the Tesseract. I think it's going to play a big part of it, as opposed, with Carol Danvers having it. And the thing that's really nice, or one thing, is she picked it up.
Mm-hmm.
She is she is a part of it. As opposed to when Red Skull picked it up, he vanished and went.
The cat also touched it.
Yeah, the cat. So
and
there's a lot
ate it.
Spoiler in there, and there's vomits it up and everything like that. So. Yeah, I mean, there's a couple things that are theories and stuff like that, and so I mean, I'm excited. We're gonna be getting more Endgame trailers and more things now that Captain Marvel has been out. They can't hide her in there.
There's a Captain Marvel. They're doing Disney things at Disneyland with Captain Marvel as a Disney princess. They're not calling it that. But
so we're in our last minute here. So final thoughts.
Be yourself. You don't have
Step in
anything
your
to
power.
prove.
Yeah.
Yeah, stop proving yourself.
Yeah, you don't have to prove anything to anybody else, except yourself. If you have anything, prove it to yourself. If you think you can't do it, prove that you can.
And to heck with what other people think, because their opinions really don't matter.
No, when you go to sleep at night, it's you're with you, and their opinions are going to keep you up at night if you don't think about it and just be yourself.
And I'm getting all my girls' 9 Inch Nails T-shirts.
Perfect. Well. Yeah, step into your power, be yourself, and join us next week. You're listening to Comic.Church on K-Talk, AM 1640, real local two-way talk. Have a wonderful Sunday afternoon, and thanks for joining us.
Enough said.
Hey there, comic book fans and believers in all things geekdom. This is Pastor Drew, the Fairy God Bro. And I just want to let you know that all of us here at Comic.Church are working hard to build a place that we can all come to, a place of refuge, a place to be edified by the universes that inspire us the most. And this show, it's just the launching off point. We invite you to subscribe to our podcast, Church, using your favorite podcasting service. We're on iTunes, Google Play, Spotify, TuneIn, and more. Also, please like our Facebook page, Church on K-Talk. On our page, you'll have a chance to interact with us live each Sunday. Plus, you'll have a chance to hear from us as we post our thoughts, inspirational somethings, and whatnots all throughout the week. We have so much in store for 2019 and into the future, and we invite you to come along and be a part of it. We at Comic.Church know exactly how important fans are, and we thank you for taking a chance and being our fans.
Military life is rewarding, but it isn't always easy.
Managing the stress can affect even the strongest warrior.
But I will stay mission ready.
I will
keep my mind and body fit.
Talk to my chaplain.
Seek care early. Strive for progress, not perfection.
I got this.
I got this.
Take the first step. There's no better time than now.
Reaching out is a sign of strength. Visit realwarriors.net or call 800-874-2273.